Have it up, and you and I should be live now, and the room should be open momentarily, and we will start to see our erstwhile audience joining us for the part two, the second webinar Wednesday. I am so excited. How are you doing, April?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm
I
good.
see you got your dapper haircut to show everybody.
You suddenly got really loud because you got into performance mode. I got to welcome everybody and say hello to you all, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. This is so exciting for us to all to have you here. We've been this concept of doing a weekly webinar is something which is I think a big challenge for us. It's going to be something that over time could end up being a huge part, probably the flagship product actually for Dottotech as we move ahead. So I have to thank you all who have joined us. Let's see how many people are here. Fill you in on, we got already over 170 live. This is awesome. This is the right number. You get a lot of people, you get a lot of energy in it, and we are going to be covering some fascinating content today. We're going to be talking about the world of social media marketing, and it's really what I'm calling the social system. It's a synopsis of what I've learned in the past 4.5 years as I've migrated my business from traditional media to this online space. Now, we are still using Webinar Jam, and we are still using Google Hangouts on Air. This is going to be one of the last webinars we do with the old Google Hangouts on Air. Google's retiring it. Webinar Jam has a brand new distribution engine, which we'll be using starting in about 3 weeks from now. But for the meantime, it's any of you who've been in a webinar with us before, you know the drill. Down the side, we have the chat room. We'll be participating in chat. You can tell me where you're all from. They're going by so fast. I, of course, don't have time to see it because also my eyes don't focus too quick. But Mike Free from Okotoks, Alberta. I just wanted to say Okotoks. In Oshkosh. We got Okotoks and Oshkosh. Boy, oh boy, we got the O's covered. And Janelle from Salem, Oregon, welcome to you all. Folks, here's what we're going to be doing. As is the standard format for these webinars that I'm delivering is I'm going to give you a quick introduction. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on, give you a bit of a feedback on what to expect. And then we're going to be doing going into the demo part where I walk through a slideshow, which I pre-recorded, which includes a demo. It's about 30 minutes of video pre-recorded that'll be inserted after this. While it's going on, I'll be in the chat room with you, answering as many questions as I can. Then we'll come back and we'll do a Q&A at the very end. Now, we've already started listening to the community. Those of you who were with us last week know that I've got a philosophy behind these particular webinars. Is I want to deliver the content free, but I don't want it to be free for all time. I want to use it for my own list building and to help build the Dottotech brand. So what we've done is the webinar was initially available for 24 hours in replay. Any of you who have to jump out for any reason or you miss it, would see it for 24 hours in replay. It would be available. And after that, it's archived and available to our patrons in Patreon, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. So it's still available to members of our community. The general public gets access to it for 24 hours. I got a lot of feedback from you on it. Nobody said that it was a stupid idea. Thank you for that. But a lot of people said that it was a little bit short time frame, that they just didn't have time, especially when we're dealing with all the time zones around the world. So we've doubled the replay time to 48 hours. So this video today, if you have to jump out, it's going to be available to you in the full replay for 48 hours. After that, I'm archiving it and pulling it in-house, and then any of you who are our Patreon supporters will have access to it for all time kind of going ahead. So that's the new model as we work our way through. Once again today, don't worry too much about taking notes during the webinar. I've got a resource page which will be sent to you in the follow-up email once we are all said and done, so you'll get access to all of that as well. I did mention I introduced very briefly, but I'll once again introduce our producer for today. April, how are you doing, April?
I'm doing well here. Hi, everybody.
Is it cold where you are yet? Like, has winter set in? Because you were having like a mild winter up to now.
We are having a mild winter. We were supposed to get that ice storm that was coming across the country here in Connecticut, but it came as rain, and that was the end of it. So it's warm. It's actually feels like it's 60 today, but it's really not. That's kind of the New England 60.
Well, we had a deep freeze here in Vancouver. We were like in an ice box with freezing temperatures and snow for almost since Christmas, but now it's back to Vancouver. It's pouring with rain and all of the runoff is happening, and we got little flooding happening all over the place. We're happy. My webbed feet are happy as they splash around in the water once again. Okay, so let's dive in and get going with the content today. So I've given you guys an overview of what to expect. If you have any technical issues, if for some reason that you have issues, we have a kind of a standard procedure that we follow whenever we're in a Google Hangout on air. First thing is just refresh your feed. If that doesn't work, exit and re-enter based on the link that we sent you to re-enter. If that still doesn't clean up the feed and make everything work properly, try a different browser. If that doesn't work, you're screwed. And you'll have to watch the replay. But April is going to be there in chat as well to walk you through it. And be aware that occasionally, just due to the transmission and bandwidth issues, you might have a little bit of a lag happen, or the audio might go out of sync for a brief period of time. Quite often, it will clean itself up. So I just encourage you to be patient. There's nothing we can do at this point here. Once with the technology, once we're feeding it, it's the way it is. Having said that, we're really looking forward to trying out the new systems. It's called Jam Studio, which is the way that Webinar Jam is going to be sending stuff in the future. We're going to have the opportunity to split screens and do a whole bunch of other things, and we're hoping the feed is going to be better. So we're quite looking forward to that. So I think what we will do now is I will load the video, which is I prepared. Now this is a slideshow. This is not as much demo as normally, because it's actually a presentation where I'm going to talk about the entire social system. If I look back 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I stopped doing television, I knew nothing about the online world. I knew nothing about online marketing, the online space, content marketing. I had no perception of really what was going on here. And I was really blessed at the very beginning of, as I was starting to just try and reinvent myself, I met Mari Smith, who, I don't know why, she took me under her wing and she brought me in and she showed me for a product launch. She actually walked me through. She was in the middle of a product launch. So she showed me all of the steps involved in online marketing. And I was gobstopped. It was an epiphany as I saw all of this stuff happening before me. It was like drinking out of a fire hose as far as learning. It's taken me a long time to assimilate all of that and to turn that into something that works for me. But what this social system that we're going to start talking about today, and we're going to be carrying on in many of our webinars, is my take on the social networking space and how we've grown our brand, but lessons that you can use to build your business, regardless of what your business is. I think that there's a lot of kind of universal truisms in the way that we approach community, where we approach business. And so what you're seeing is my take on it. And I think it's pretty fresh. I don't have 10, 20 years of internet marketing. I've got 4 years. So I'm seeing and talking about what I consider probably are the most current techniques and ways of doing things. So I think what we'll do right now is we'll jump into the video. I will pop over into the chat room with you folks, and we'll be back live in about 30 minutes, and we'll be ready to go from there. So let's me start the video. We'll see you in the chat room. Actually, I can see right here. It's 28 minutes of video. See you back in 28 minutes. confidence goal is. If it's profit, whatever success looks like for you, we will have that here. And of course, as soon as we're done with this pre-recorded part, there'll be a Q&A within the webinar itself. Making sure we're all on the same page. Context is everything. Making sure you all understand that it comes as a result of my journey from a traditional marketing, traditional broadcast world into the online marketing space. 20 years in traditional broadcast, television, radio, newspapers. I did all the big traditional medias. Now I'm learning how to do it all in the online space, and I'm happy to share as much of that as I can with you. Now, when I started doing the TV show, it was a really difficult transition for me to come into the online space because I had massive personal resistance. All right. I am back. April, I muted your mic, so you'll have to unmute yourself if you want to join us. How are we all doing? What a great conversation going on in the forum. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Thanks to all of you for engaging so much and for all of the kind comments about the beard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a little sensitive today because of a comment that happened in YouTube. So what we're going to do, before we kind of continue on, while we catch our breath after that, let me explain to those of you who viewed it and had a lot of questions about what just happened. The style of webinar that we're delivering right now is called a hybrid webinar. And I believe that it's a really effective way to deliver this sort of content. What I did is I pre-recorded that slideshow using screencasting the same way that we record videos for our YouTube channel. And then by uploading that to YouTube and then playing it back within the feed of this webinar, we were able to take advantage of the higher quality broadcast capabilities of YouTube because it'll broadcast in high definition. When you deliver a webinar like we're doing right now, the video coming from me at this moment has to be compressed here, which is one of the reasons I use a solid green screen behind me and all of that sort of stuff, so that I reduce the amount of the amount of number crunching that the computer has to do to send the content out. But this video has to be compressed into a stream that's sent up to the internet and then distributed to you. So we only have whatever real-time compression can happen. When I pre-record that demo, it's compressed before it's ever sent to YouTube. So I've created a high quality MP4 file, and that's what plays back and streams back. So that's why we get the higher quality.
Hey, Steve, I hate to interrupt. They're having a hard time seeing you. They see me, but they're not seeing you.
Oh, that's why. There we go. I was clicked on you. Am I back now? There it is. Yeah. But they could hear me, right?
They could hear you, absolutely.
They just couldn't see me. And
you got it.
But you're lovely too. Just don't have the foliage. At any rate, so where was I? Okay, so that's why it plays back well. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to have just a fake webinar where we pre-record everything and we're not dealing with this real interaction. So this idea of being able to jump into chat at the same time as this is all going on, I think adds to the information density. It allows us to deliver more content in the same amount of time and just makes for overall a better experience. So that's what we just experienced. Now, I'm going to get April to put a poll in right now because I'm just curious. I'm wondering which social networks you're all most interested in or you feel is kind of your home network, which one you feel strongest in. So in the sidebar here, you should see a poll come up, and I'd love to see just which is your preferred social channel: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Snapchat, or other, if that's the case. Just interested. This is kind of research for the future for us.
Watch.
I love the real time. Yeah, Facebook. Look, Facebook's there, solid, strong. That's what we figured. 0% on Snapchat. Come on. I don't get Snapchat either. So I've got a few other things that I want to go over, and then we'll get to the Q&A because I want to talk to you about what happens with this webinar replay and a few other. And as I'm going to start screen sharing here. Just a minute. As a big part of the content that I was talking about, which in the video, was the fact that I believe the basis for growth in the social business is the social aspect, asking questions. And a big part of the initial growth of Dottotech, and it's now even to today, is the conversations that I've had, especially in YouTube, where people have told me what videos they want to see more of, and that's enable us to grow our market. So I want to know now that we have a couple hundred of you online, which topics are you most interested in having us deliver to you next? Because this webinar series now is a weekly webinar series. Next week's webinar is actually going to be a paid webinar. We're doing our YouTube launch sequence, which I'll talk about more in a moment. But the next month, starting February 1st, we've got kind of an open slate. I've got 5 or 6 webinars that I'm planning on doing, but that's what I'm thinking you're interested in. I'd love to hear what you're interested in. So which of these topics resonate with you the most? So I'll get April to switch over the polls. Actually, I think if you publish the results first, April, then everybody can see the final results.
Okay.
And then put the next poll in. And I haven't looked at how it resolves because I put too many words in it, I think. But the bottom line is, are you interested in learning about the basis of WordPress, setting up a WordPress site, what to look for in WordPress? I know there was some conversation about that in the chat forum. Would that be compelling for you, getting an overview of WordPress and specifically the tools that we use to maintain and manage our social connections, our social networks? How do you use WordPress in a social system like we are teaching you about right now. Do you want to learn more about list building? Autoresponders. We have a lot of conversation. Should I get MailChimp? Should I get Aweber? What does it do? How do you set it up? How do you capture the names? What's the best practices, especially when you're starting out in list building? Are you interested in that? Are you interested in learning about Facebook ads? Facebook is increasingly becoming a pay-to-play network. We try and grow virally as much as we can in Facebook, but at the end of the day, Facebook ads have to be a big part of everybody's strategy moving ahead. That's just the way it's going to be as we go ahead. Are you interested in more about Facebook? You're interested in the basis of starting your YouTube channel? Personally, YouTube still, I think, is probably the great secret, because YouTube's power is the fact it's a search engine, and it's easy to have. Far easier to get ranked and discovered in YouTube than it is in Google search. I believe Natalie was asking me about whether or not she should be. She's doing accounting stuff. Whether or not she should be doing it in YouTube. I'll tell you the reason that she should be doing it in YouTube is where people go to learn to do things. They search, and if you're teaching something like how to use bookkeeping, especially how to do it in specific applications, people will discover you on YouTube, whereas they won't discover you through normal Google search. It's a wonderful discovery engine, and a big part of our growth is a result of that. Are you interested in understanding the subtleties of social networking? We've been experimenting a lot here in Dottotech through the second half of last year, to the point that we've come up with a strategy of creating different types of video now for different social networks. We've got our live video content, we've got our YouTube content, but we also now have streaming content for the stream-based networks for Facebook and Instagram, which we're having some really nice traction and success with. Do you want to learn more about social video in those spaces? Let us know about that. And if nothing here meets your fancy, write in. Tell us exactly what you want to learn more about. I will look at it, and that's our MO, is we listen to what you want. You ask, we will respond. And if I can teach it, if it's something that I think I can bring value to, you will see it in one of our upcoming webinar Wednesdays, because we got lots of these to fill out. We got lots of these to do over the next little while. Now, next week, while I was mentioning it, next week is the first of our revenue webinars. So the business model that we're putting forward here is 3 free webinars per month, and then 1 that I charge for. And when I charge you for a webinar, you get some phenomenal kind of a how-to. It's really a checklist of things that you need to do or you can do that will guarantee success in one space or another. And in this case here, something near and dear to my heart, it's our YouTube launch sequence. It's been 4 years in development, but I believe that I have kind of articulated the best way to take a video and to launch it into YouTube to guarantee that it does what our goals are in YouTube. And our goals are to rank in YouTube search, ultimately be discovered, and to use it as the basis for this, as a discovery engine to build your community and build your market. And there are lots of little simple technical things that you can do that are going to ensure success. And if you stay with the sequence, if you stay with the program, you will have success on YouTube over time. So with the YouTube launch sequence, April will put the link in for you to sign up. It's $39. And what will happen is there'll be a video just like this next week, a live tutorial. We take that tutorial, the recording of that tutorial, we put it into a course that we host in Thinkific. I've added a whole bunch of other videos that create a lot of supporting content around the specifics and demos of the different tools that we use, and getting deeper into the kind of the minutia of the actual process. And so it all becomes a mini course that you have access to once we are said and done. This is social media gold. This particular, this is probably my best content that I'm leaving with. The YouTube launch sequence is something, as I said, we've worked hard on. And oh my gosh, we've seen just tremendous results, even just in the last this year, as we've kind of really focused in and really started to follow. We've always done it with all of our videos, but adding consistency to our video publishing, our numbers have just grown significantly over the last couple of weeks. And a big part of that is because we use this system. So if you're interested, join us next week. Now, the final part before we get to questions is I want to fill you in on what's happening in Patreon. Now, I mentioned to you all that the replays of this are available for 48 hours of this video, of all of these free webinars we do are available for 48 hours. And then after that, they go into our Patreon community. They become a perk of our Patreon community. Those of you who don't know what Patreon is, it's crowdfunding, but for content creators. So we've got already a Patreon community of closing in on 400 people who support Dottotech, and it's a beautiful thing. It costs $10 a month to be one of our kind of our premier patrons, and it's rather than buying product, it's supporting us. It's saying we want you to produce more good content, and we're going to support you as a result. And so it's a very much a community coming together and helping us out. And it makes a huge difference to us here in Dottotech. My philosophy, though, is because Patreon is a community, Dottotech is also community. We're 5 people who produce all of this content. So all of the money that comes in is actually, we guarantee, is going to be used going to our people, April being one of them, who's on this webinar with us right now. So all of the money goes into our salary to pay our people. And then once we reach our threshold of covering our entire nut, then then my team gets bonused, which makes them very happy, and they start doing a happy dance. So 100% of your support goes to our community. Now, what do you get for that support? Well, at $10 a month, the perks, and I'll get April again to put the Patreon link into the sidebar. You get free access to our Evernote Made Easy course, which we are selling constantly for $97. It's my best-selling product. You get free access to that course. You also get access to the archives of Webinar Wednesday, which right now will have 2 webinars in it as of today. But within a couple of months, there's going to be a huge library of this sort of training and tutorial available to you. Plus, you get 50% off on all of our premium courses, which we charge $500 for. And there'll be 3 premium courses this year, one on delivering webinars, just like the webinar we're doing right now, and how to build your community around it and use it as a part of the business, part of the social system. Another on doing online courses, building and making money off online courses, the tools and the techniques and the promotional aspects you need to face. And then the other course is our screencasting course, where I teach how to create video, just like we used earlier, or just like we use on our YouTube channel. All great courses. We're very proud of them, and you get them all at half price as a patron. Plus, you get, actually, it works out to 75% off on the Social System Playbook, which we're just talking about, or any of our webinars that we deliver, which are the revenue webinars. So there'll be 12 of those per year, which are the real action-oriented webinars, just like this. So I encourage you, if you are interested in joining us on Patreon, we certainly appreciate your support. And with that, I think I'm ready to head back, and we're ready to start taking questions. Awesome.
We need to give the poll results.
Oh, yes. What were the poll results? What did people say they were most interested in? I want to see this right now.
So I'm really sorry. I made a boo-boo. I didn't, when I published it, I did not hit the link to share it with everybody, but I took a screenshot of it. Oh, okay. So the results for the preferred social media channel, 53% was Facebook, 4% was Instagram, Twitter, 12%, YouTube was 20%, LinkedIn, 10%, 0 on Snapchat. And
yay, I don't have to do Snapchat stuff. I don't want to do Snapchat stuff.
I don't blame you.
Okay. Now, what are they most interested in? WordPress, 25%. Building your list, mail list management, okay, 32%. Facebook ads, only 6%. People, you're going to have to learn it. At some point, you're going to have to buckle down and learn, but we won't do it right away. YouTube channel, 22%. Video, only 12%. Okay. Webinar basics, 3%. And right in your chat, so we'll read what the chat suggestions are. This is awesome sauce. I love getting this feedback. Thank you, folks, for participating in that side of this webinar. That's awesome. Okay, April, I think we've got how much time? Oh, good. We got 10 minutes left before the end. I'll answer questions beyond the top of the hour if there are questions beyond the top of the hour, but we will make sure that we kind of wrap things up so that those of you who have to go can go, because I know most of you schedule an hour for these. All right. Let's get to questions. So now, there was 2 that came in late that I left for now, so we can start with those.
All right, so Trout Hunter is asking, did you ask a Ask Dotto question on appointment scheduler in different software? Can you revisit that and maybe cover a few companies? Which ones are better?
Appointment scheduling software? Yeah, we did an Ask Dottotech on that. And boy, that's a lot of work to test. And the problem that I have with a lot of those tools is I look at them and I see the feature set, but actually using them and seeing what they work in like in the real world is just too difficult, because we have to basically enroll in each one, and then I have to find a reason for people to make appointments with me. And when you manufacture a scenario, you learn a little bit, but it's when you actually use them. So the one that I use is called Schedule Once. I use it because I bought it and it works, and I don't love it. I think the best recommendation I can make is what I see most of my community using. Like when people ask me to join their podcast and they send me a link, or when somebody says, oh, you books a meeting with me and they send me their link, more and more of my compatriots I am seeing using Calendly. So that would be the place that I would start, would be Calendly. I can't speak to the strengths and weaknesses of each one, unfortunately, because there's just so many subtleties. It's like task apps. But I would start with Calendly just because I see so many of my colleagues using it.
Well, Steve, can I add to that too? I think they're helpful if you're working with a CRM to see if it connects with it as well. So you're not having all these standalone products, so you can kind of automate some of it.
Yes, and Infusionsoft has a link through to many of these. I know we haven't integrated it because we don't quite use the CRM that way. But a lot of people, if you are, especially if you're in like consultancy type sales, having it tied to your CRM would be a great thing.
All right. So next question, Steve, how does your YouTube seminar fold into your comments from the webinar? Example, can you convert viewers to your email list?
Yes, we talk about that in the YouTube course. But the end of the day, and April knows this, we are focused almost all the time on building our list in everything we do. We need to get people on our mail list in order to make sure that you're part of the community. So I do calls to action at the end of my videos, at the end of every video, in order to get people to come across into the mail list. And I'll give you the metrics. It's not huge. We get maybe 100 people a month signing up for the mail list from YouTube, but we have 300,000 views a month on YouTube. So it's not a huge percentage of people watch to the end and click, but it's still 100 new people. And that's a good thing. I'm always struggling to come up with ways to make it to get more. And as a matter of fact, this webinar replay that we're going to have now, we're going to put this live on YouTube for a period of time as well. It'll come down the same time as the main play comes down, but there'll be a strong call to action to get people to sign up for our mail list in that. And I want to see if that makes a difference. You constantly have to experiment in this. You constantly have to be kind of working with the tools that are available to you. Currently, YouTube has end cards that allow us to make good calls to action at the end to get people to sign up. And we also have the little dot, the little information dot that appears during the video, but a very low percentage of people ever actually click on it. The problem with video, and the challenge with video as far as interactivity and getting people to opt in, is video, you don't want to interrupt the flow. If you put an opt-in in a text post, in a blog post, you're not interrupting the reading of it because a person can click on it and they just don't feel like it's being interrupted. Having to stop a video in the middle to opt in onto a newsletter is very interruptional and it's disruptive. And I just think it's always going to be more problematic.
All right. There's a few people asking just to confirm the Patreon price for your upcoming webinar next week.
Yeah, if you sign up for Patreon, all of our webinars that are normally $39 are going to be $9.95.
All right.
So you'll get, when you sign up for Patreon, we send you a code, and that code is what you use to get the discount on the courses.
Okay, and I did just put the Patreon link again in the awesome. Chat there for everybody. All right, next one, is the YouTube course similar?
Paul just joined. Paul just signed up on Patreon. Thank you, Paul. Big hug.
Nice. Welcome, Paul. Is the YouTube course similar to the YouTube course you previously offered before?
Yes, it's got some of the components of it. But it's the one module that was around the YouTube launch sequence. The YouTube course that I offered before was far more broad, and I pulled it because I feel that it needed a lot of updating. But this is I think the best value from that particular course is this actual launch sequence of what we do for YouTube SEO, how we name, how we prepare our videos, and then the sequence that we do when we launch it, how we ensure that that video hits with momentum. So it's got aspects of it. It's been refined, and it's been refined a fair bit because of changes in the YouTube algorithm with how YouTube actually looks at video. So it's changed a fair bit as well because of that.
Okay. Leon is asking what type of microphone you use.
I have mine is actually an Electro Voice RE20, which is a studio mic that typically is a voiceover mic that you find in radio studios. Most people wouldn't buy this mic. I think most people in our space get a mic. If you want a analog mic of similar quality, the Heil PR40 is the darling of the podcasting world and would certainly be the equivalent of this. This comes actually from the last radio studio I was doing my show in was moving to headset mics, and they just mothballed these. They stuck them in a back room. I saw that. I went, can I buy one? And they gave it to me. Pretty. So that's how I got it. And I've got it hooked up, of course, through an analog to digital converter, a mixing board into my computer. So it's set up that way. And my recommendation on that, by the way, would be probably the Heil PR40, and the Focusrite would be probably what I would look at as a mixer and AAD converter. For the rest of you, for most of the world, a good quality USB mic like the Yeti, the Blue Yeti, would be an awesome choice, and they're about $200. To buy a complete system the way that I do, you're probably looking at the better part of $1,000.
All right. So Veronica's asking, I bought your Evernote course in the past. Would you consider switching that to a different course as part of the $10 subscription for someone who already bought this course?
Drop me an email. I have to see. The issue is, if it's a course that I produced, no problem. But if it's one that I've partnered with somebody else, then I can't take money out of their pocket. So drop me an email at info@autotech.com and we'll figure it out. We'll make it worth your time.
All right. Natalie's asking, do we need to enter a coupon code if we are a Patreon so we get the discounted rate off the $39.95?
Yes.
YouTube?
Yes. So that discount code is in your follow-up email from Patreon.
Perfect. And it says, have you heard of Iveti, I-V-E-T-E, which I think is the mic you just mentioned, right?
Oh, Yeti, Y-E-T-I. Blue microphones, Yeti. Yeah, excellent.
Okay. And then Roy's asking, is the social system course $39 the same as the YouTube launch? So
Yes. Yes. The YouTube launch course. So the way that we've designed the social system, the way, and it might be a little obtuse, I'm still kind of getting the messaging together, is this monthly webinar series that we're doing every week. One webinar per week is going to be on productivity. 2 webinars are going to be free social system webinars where I'm going to walk you through just like what we did today. The 4th webinar, the last webinar each month, is the social system playbook, where we have actual call to action. It's a real tutorial on an aspect of social media marketing, where you have tangible things that you are going to learn to do. These free webinars are a little more 30,000 foot. I'm not actually giving you real techniques, but I'm giving you concepts. So it's a little bit softer information, whereas the social system playbook, there's going to be real action that you can take that's going to make a difference in your social marketing space. That's the courses that we're charging for. There'll be 12 a year. Each of those will be $39 as we move ahead. And that is what the social system playbook is. So that's why it's got that one different word. This is the social system. That's the social system playbook, which I'm charging for. I hope that makes a difference. It is understandable. And I know we've got to work on our messaging for that.
John is asking, are Shopify sites as good as a WordPress site?
Oh yeah, Shopify is excellent. As a matter of fact, I use a sister company of Shopify for my WordPress site. I use Themify, which is the theme that we use for our main Dottotech site. Good Canadian company, Shopify. But if you are in the online retail space and you want a fully hosted solution, then it's going to do the same sort of thing for you. WordPress,
I agree.
you know, I don't say that you have to have a WordPress site. Like if you want to use Squarespace, if you want to use, one of the other tools like that, I'm fully on board with it. You need a site that does things for you. You need a place that you can track people who visit so you can do passive advertising to people down the stream at Facebook. You need a place you can capture people's email addresses. You need a place that you get analytics so you see how the traffic's going. You need a place to have a home base for conversation. You need those functions. It doesn't have to be WordPress that delivers them. I use WordPress, so that's what I'll use when I show, but there's lots of other ways to get to those same goals.
Well, and I think Shopify has a great beginner interface too. So if you're trying to create your own website, it's very user-friendly as well.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how expensive it is, but it's certainly got a great reputation.
It's like $29 US a month.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a lot less than Squarespace, isn't it? Or is Squarespace in the same space? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but it also has its payments, Shopify payments, so you can easily take it. I mean, you could have a website set up in half a day with them pretty easily.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. Yeah, good.
Jen is asking, are prices in US or Canada? Canadian?
US funds.
Okay.
US funds on all of this stuff.
How do we get the Patreon code? You're going to send a follow-up, right? Follow-up email with the
as soon
code?
as you sign up, I'll send you the link. I manually send out every Patreon thanks. So as soon as you sign up, then you'll get an email from me. It's usually within an hour, but sometimes it could be 3 or 4 hours, depending if I'm super busy. But I go through and I look and I thank you each individually. And I send you the code with that.
Awesome. Danielle.
Excuse me. Yes, I thank you with that. And then it's in the link. That's right. I was just trying to remember what the sequence is of emails that you receive, because there are some that are automated and some that come from me.
And will they come out today or will it come out tomorrow, the email? That was
today.
Was asking when. Okay, perfect.
As long as there's not 7,000 of you, then I'll hire somebody to help.
Bill,
thank
Danielle
you.
Is asking. Join Patreon. Okay, so he's part of Patreon. He joined it and is asking if it's reoccurring payments in Patreon, kind of how the process works.
Yeah, Patreon is like the way that Patreon can be set up is the content creator determines what the payment structure is going to be. So we go monthly. So every month it's $10 a month for supporting us. Some content creators, like if you're a musician, they will do it by the song or by the chapter of a book. It depends on different models, but we're monthly as far as that goes.
All right, great. And then Mel's asking what equipment you use for your webinar.
Okay, for the webinar, it's a basic setup. We use Webinar Jam. I have an old Mac Pro, like a 2011 Mac Pro, or maybe it's 2009. It's like third or fourth generation. It's a fairly inexpensive computer, but very powerful, and I use it for all my video editing as well. We've discussed the mic system already, and I've got a Logitech C920 webcam. I've got good quality lighting and a green screen. That helps me out as well. Now, April, if you can drop in the link to creating creating videos in less time than a blog, that tutorial takes you through everything. That's a little mini course that we host in Thinkific as well. So it's the same place that we host the upcoming course next week. But that will walk you through. There's a webinar where I go through my entire setup for screencasting, which is pretty much identical to what I do for webinars.
All right, and I also put in the link to Webinar Jam as well.
Excellent.
Let's see. So Roy's just confirming that the YouTube webinar next week is the first of the Social System Playbook.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. If we sign up and can't attend the YouTube webinar, will it be available to us later?
Yes. So the Social System Playbook is, as soon as we've recorded it live, within about 2 days, it becomes a course that will be continued to be sold. It's a product that I'm going to sell in the future. So even if you don't take it now, you can come in 6 months, spend $39 and take the course. It'll be a recording of the live tutorial and then the supporting content, because we've got 3 or 4 other videos as well as some documents and some downloads that make it a course. I call it a mini course because it's not a big $400 course. It's a little $40 course, and you can go through it in about an hour and a half or 2 hours. So it's a mini course. It's a mini. It's just so cute. But yes, it's all available to you in your own time. I believe we did 2 of these last year testing out this model, and both times we had very good attendance, and we probably had about 85% of the people show up. But the 15% of the people who didn't show up live, I didn't hear anything back from them that they felt that they were shortchanged in any way. Thank you, Ryan. This is great. I got my iPad there for live, and it keeps popping up when people signing up. Awesome. I'm missing the odd person, but this is great.
Mel is asking, what store do you use for your WordPress site?
What store do I use? Oh, you're talking about for our e-commerce side? I believe so.
Yeah.
If you can verify that. Like. Well, we use Infusionsoft primarily for it, although for the social system, we are using Thinkific's e-commerce solution. So there's a couple of different ways that you do that. Actually, that would be a good topic for a social system playbook, is payment systems.
That would be a great topic.
Somebody write that down. That by somebody, I mean April. Please write that down.
I will write it down. Have you migrated from ScreenFlow to Camtasia yet?
Yes, we use Camtasia. Camtasia is the other screencasting software along with ScreenFlow, which are kind of the big 2. And I've used ScreenFlow since the beginning of our channel. It's on Mac. Camtasia is on Mac and Windows, and just recently they unified both of the interfaces, so it's the identical product in both. I use ScreenFlow for all of the coursework that I do and for my main YouTube videos, for the featured videos. But for all of our social videos, thank you, Daryl. For all of our social videos, the ones that you're going to be seeing increasingly, if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you see little 1-minute clips called the 1-minute tech tip, which is a new video feature that we've created. We create those in Camtasia. And the reason we do it in Camtasia is Camtasia has a better text tool, a better video text tool for doing animated text. And all of those streams, like Facebook, Instagram, 85% of the videos watched SOC without sound. So we have to figure out a way to put text in so that we can convey the information. And it's easier and cleaner and more efficient to do that in Camtasia. So we use both tools.
All right.
Amanda, you rock.
Looks like Francis is asking, basically, they've already bought a screencasting course, and they're wondering if they have to pay again in order to take the course at their convenience.
The screencasting
So basically,
course?
the screencasting course.
No. Once you've taken one of our courses, our featured courses, you get free access to any upgrade of that course. That's one of the things that we, because kind of one of the tenets here at Dottotech. So anybody who's taken our Evernote Made Easy course, they've got the latest version. Anybody who took screencasting 2 sessions ago, we've just released our 3rd version of it. You've gained access to all of the new content for that course. So we, I think once you spent the money on us and you're part of the community, that you gain access to it. And one of the beauties of it is we use Facebook groups very effectively in all of these courses where people go in, and it really adds to the learning environment. Having alumni in those in the groups is invaluable because they've been through it. Their experience is there. People get to see the results. They get form new relationships. So once you bought a course off us, you have access to the newest version. If you are and we send out email, April will verify that we tag everybody, and we always let you know about the newest version. If you've missed that email for whatever reason, drop us a note, and we'll make sure you get access to the newest version.
Perfect. She was just actually asking how she accesses it. So, all right, Steve, will this webinar be available for 24 hours?
This webinar right now?
With a link like your previous one, right?
Yes, except we've changed the number to 48 hours because we were rushing too many people. I see we're past the top of the hour as well. So let me just reiterate. Yes, it's going to be available for free for 48 hours. After that, all of the Patreon supporters will have access to it. Anybody who has to leave right now, I got to thank you so much for the time that you spent with us. And if you keep your eye, there'll be an email sent out about an hour from now with the replay link and with the resource page of the different topics of the different tools that I talked about today. And we look forward to seeing you next week. So there'll be check for your email. If you're interested in the screencasting course, there'll be a few more emails going out. Look forward to seeing you there. Any of you that joined us on Patreon, thank you so much. It's a thrill for us to have the support from the community. I can't tell you, it really does mean a lot to us, and it makes my day every time somebody signs up, like Ben just did. Thank you, Ben. So if you have to go now, thank you very much, and have fun storming the castle. But I'm going to stay on until April has the last of the questions done right now. So go ahead, April.
Awesome. Okay, so let's see, we left off here. So I was surprised not to see Google Plus on your poll. What are your thoughts on Google Plus as a platform? Be kind.
I would feel more inclined to think of Google Plus as a viable social network if Google acted like it was a viable social network. They've been taking the most successful little pieces of it and spinning them off into their own space. We saw it with Google Photos, which is awesome, but it's not part of the Google Plus network anymore. We've now seen them completely back away and say Hangouts are going away completely. Another awesome part of the Google Plus social network. Google has no long-term commitment to it, and so it's simply a marriage of convenience for them, and it's like a car that's being parted out. They're just taking the best parts that are still valuable. They're finding ways to use them. I don't think it has a long-term future. That's my opinion. Was that kind?
It was, and the only thing that I would say is that from a Google business perspective, that they actually, when you verify and claim for local search engine optimization, they want you to create that Google Plus page. So they kind of wrap that into that, and that is a benefit to local businesses by verifying their business.
But you should do those things. I have no issue with you using Google Plus in that way, like making sure that your business is listed, making sure you're doing those things. But to use it as your primary engagement engine, I think is risky.
I agree. All right. Let's see. Do you need to sign up for each webinar in order to get access to the replay?
Right. No, Patreon users will get access. Patreon supporters will get access to the replay automatically. As soon as the replay is recorded, it'll be put into the Patreon feed. So Patreon is like a social network of its own. And so there's a feed in Patreon, and the webinars will be placed in there. So you'll be able to get to them without signing up again. I've dabbled with the idea of having people sign up for the series of webinars, because we can set it up that way. I don't know mechanically whether or not I like that idea or not yet. So we haven't invoked that for the regular folk, for the regular people that aren't part of Patreon. But if you're in Patreon, you can sign up to come in live and participate live, or you can just passively wait until the replay is sent to us, and you'll be notified by email and in Patreon. Rob, thank you.
So we just need to make sure, and I apologize, we probably should have that Patreon code available for the YouTube course, because we have some people signing up for it through Patreon getting charged the $39.95.
Oh, okay. We will, anybody that's in Patreon, we will redress that. We'll take care of it, and we will credit you back. But yeah, for those of you that want to take the course, wait until you get the Patreon code from us. That would be best. Yeah, there's just no way I can. Didn't want to automate the entire procedure, because I like to thank each individual patron as they come online. So I don't know if we ever had this many all at once before.
That's why we love you, Steve.
It's awesome.
Because you're so personable.
Yes.
All right. Which Trello versus Asana for one person? What's your thoughts? Trello versus Asana for a one-person business for project management. So a solopreneur.
I think they'd be pretty much of a muchness. Trello uses the same kind of Kanban card interface as Asana. We have recently invested our team in Asana. And as a team tool, it is awesome. Now, having said that, I know Mike Stelzner with Social Media Examiner, they use Trello much the same way, and they're very successful in it. So teams could use either. I think you just sign up for both, play with them each for not longer than a half hour, and then make a decision which one you understand the best. It doesn't matter. The one is not that superior to the other, and they will constantly leapfrog each other. The thing to do is to have buyer's regret and to jump back and forth, because then you lose all the productivity gains you can get from a tool. So they're both free. Sign up for them, play with them for like a half an hour, invest that much time in it, and then say, I like the feel of this one better. And you will like one or the other better, and just run with that. Watch our videos on them first. That's a good way to start.
All right. So if you're a newbie, which would you recommend learning first, ScreenFlow or Camtasia?
If you're on Mac, I think ScreenFlow is still the most accessible tool. If you're in Windows, it's got to be Camtasia.
Okay. And then looks like this is the last question here. We're getting down to the end. What is your preferred platform, but don't include YouTube? So you have YouTube. What would be your other preferred platform?
I use Facebook a lot. I mean, I really think that for me and for us, Facebook, but I'm willing to pay when it's necessary in Facebook. The reason I like Facebook is the tracking pixel of custom audiences, the fact that I can promote to it at some point in the future. So that's the main reason that I would say Facebook, and it's just got such a broad reach. Also, the demographic that I appeal to, which tends to be baby boomers, are increasingly engaging in Facebook and not necessarily as much in the other platforms. So so Facebook gives us that opportunity. They're a terrible business partner, because they're always taking stuff away and deciding to charge us for something new that we used to get for free. So there's not warm and fuzzies with Facebook, I can assure you there, but to me, it works better. Having said that, increasingly, we've been growing in Twitter a lot lately, but Twitter we're using very pragmatically. We've been growing through using a tool called Social Quant, which basically follows people. And we've grown a lot. I don't love the warm and fuzzies of Twitter. I don't feel as engaged with that community. Fortunately, we have a community manager now, Jen, who does take care of our Twitter community, and she lets me know when I have to engage with somebody, anything that personally I have to respond to. But I don't have the same personal engagement in Twitter. But it is doing very well as far as numerically driving traffic to our site. It's working well for us business-wise. I just don't feel it's as strong a player community-wise. Get a lot more community engagement out of Facebook and YouTube.
All right. So Jerry, he said, I watched your productivity webinar last week, and as a result, I moved everything from OneNote. Thank you for the hot tip. I love Evernote.
Okay, no pressure. I moved my entire life based on your half an hour time with you, Steve. I use Evernote. I think you're fine in both, but I use Evernote and quite like it.
And that is a wrap for today, my friend.
This has been awesome. April, thanks so much for the support. For all of you, so much community engagement. That's what this is all about. The social system, the beauty of this business is the conversations that happen and the relationships that occur. If we take that out, it's just advertising, isn't it? And it's old school and it's no fun. This is fun. Thank you all for being here. The replay will be out within an hour, 48 hours to watch the replay. For those of you who've joined us in Patreon, big heartfelt thanks, seriously, from the entire Dottotech team. You'll get to know us all in Patreon, and I can guarantee you will enjoy the rest of my team's company as much as I do. For those of you who are on the fence about the mini course, we didn't mention, but we have a money back guarantee on all of our stuff as far as our courses goes. So you can always take a flyer on that if you want. But I guarantee you, it's going to be a good course. We've been working for over a month on it. Actually, we've pre-recorded the video part already, and the whole team's gone through. We've had feedback on it. It's going to be a good course.
Awesome.
With that, until next week, April, I'll let you do the close.
Here's to storming the castle.
Have fun storming the castle. You got to watch the movie.
Have fun. All right, I'm sorry. Have fun storming the castle.
One more time.
Have fun storming the castle, my friends.